Hello wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this grand cherry blossom Japanese castle or temple. This build would make a show-stopping addition to any world, and it's spacious enough to make an excellent survival base. A world download is available if you check out Patreon, and stay tuned because I'll be showing you how I landscape this build at the end. The materials you'll need for this build are on your screen now. Keep in mind it's always useful to have a few extra of each supply on hand, and if there's any supplies you can't get, leave a comment and I'd be happy to offer some substitutions. Here is the outline for our temple. You can see it isn't so much an outline per se, but you can see where we're going to be having some points touching the ground. You'll also need a 29 by 21 rectangular space. The larger gaps you can see there are 5 blocks wide, and then the smaller gaps are 3 blocks wide. We're going to begin by creating the base for our castle. I'm going to be placing some chiseled stone brick. I'll go 5 across, then 3 across, then 5 across, 3 across, and 5 across for the front. Then I'll go across on a diagonal like this, then 3 groups of 5, diagonal, and then following the front. So 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. And then we've just got 3 groups of 5 again for the other side, just like that. Then at each corner I'll place a stone brick slab. And I'm going to start connecting up this chiseled stone brick with some upside down stairs like this. I'm going to do the front first and work in the first 2 groups first, like this. Then when I've got the center here, I'll have the first 2 like this upside down and then 3 in the center right way up. And while I'm at the front here, I'm going to build 5 across, coming back from these stairs with some more stairs, and then place some chiseled stone brick in between like this. Now I'll go around the rest of the outline using my stone brick stairs. Okay, just finishing this off, and there we go, we've got our outline for the foundation. Now I'm going to grab some stone brick slabs and build in 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, going all the way around. Now you can use regular stone brick here, especially if you're building in creative, it can be a little quicker to place, but if you're in survival, this certainly saves a lot of supplies. So I'm going to come around like this, filling in the edge 4 deep. Then when I get to the corner of the build, I'll rotate round and count another 4 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just continue building along. I've done 3 of my 4 sides, I just need to do the front now. As we have with the other side, I'm going to build in 4 blocks with my slabs. And I'm just going to come in from either side until I meet this design which we've created in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost done filling that in. There we go. So we've got that 4 wide border all the way around the edge. Now I'm going to come to these stairs and build 5 blocks out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll do this on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this should leave you with a 3 block gap here and here, which it does. I'll then build 1 more layer of the stone bricks coming all the way across like this to complete our stone brick outline. To fill in the rest of the floor, I'm going to be using cherry slabs, and once again you could use plain cherry planks if you're building in creative or have ample resources, but I'm going to stick to using these slabs and just fill in the rest of this floor shape. Now we're going to work on framing for the first floor, so you'll need some stripped spruce logs. I'm going to come to this first corner here at the front and place in 1 log. I'll then count 3 across and place in another, 3 across again and another, and continue this until I reach the other side of the floor. Like this, so you should have your 6 posts along the front. I'll then continue counting groups of 3 going all the way around the outline of this cherry plank floor. And you should fit in perfect groups of 3 going all the way around. So there's 4 along the 2 short sides and then 6 posts along the 2 long sides. Then at the front, I'll then count 1 back from each of these posts and add in another like this. Fantastic. On top of each of these posts, I'll add another 5 logs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your post should be a total of 6 blocks tall. Next, we're going to add some beams going across, so I will count 1 block down and then connect up my posts like this. So I'm going to go all the way around, and at the front you can see I'm connecting up the 2 rows of posts like this. If you look from above, you can see that nice and clearly. And then for the rest of the build, I'll just go around placing in some logs at this height. This should leave you with 3 by 4 panels underneath each of these logs. There we go, and then in each of the corners I'm going to add another 6 high posts like this, with some logs coming out to either side. We're starting to get a really good frame for this building now. Now before we put in the actual walls, which will be made of white wool, I'm going to mark in my windows. The first window is going to be set 1 block in from each side of the front wall. I'm using red wool as a temporary block here, but you can use any material that you have lots of hand of. I'm then going to place in 2 windows either side of the center, and you can see that these aren't in the first row of spruce, they're set 1 back. Then in the very center, I'm going to mark in a 3 by 3 square for where we will have our door. Coming around to the sides now, we have 2 windows in the 2 outermost panels, leaving the center one free, and I'll do this on the other side. The wonderful thing about this build is it's symmetrical, so you can always check you're following along correctly because your sides should match. Then at the back, I'm doing the outermost panels and then the center panel, so there's a 1 panel gap between our windows like this. Once I've got that in place, I can begin filling in my walls with my white wool. So I'm going to go around each of the windows and fill in the windowless panels, making my way around the build. As I'm coming to the front here, I won't be filling in along this first row of spruce posts. Instead, once I've done the first panel, I'll come back and follow along the shape where we have our windows. We've got a 1 wide gap and then our window gap above our door. Another window here, a 1 wide gap, and back out to the main outline of this build. I'll also take this white wool and fill in the outline along the top edge. Like that. At the back of the build in the center, I'm going to add an extra row of 3 with 1 in the center. I'm going to place down some torches now. It's very important, especially in survival, to do this, so when we add on the next story you don't get monsters spawning. And I'm then going to take some cherry planks and begin filling in the floor. I'll be breaking in my staircase later, and you could put it wherever you like inside this build depending on the layout of your interior. So for now I'm just going to fill in the whole thing. You can see I'm filling it in so it's one in from the edge. Then as I come around to the front bit of the build here, I'll then place it on top of this wall outline, like that, and then go back to being one in from the edge. So our build should look like this, and you can see that these extra sections that stick out from the main gap of the floor are 4 across on either side. For the second story, we're going to begin by creating some posts again using the strip spruce logs. I'm counting 1 block in and placing in my first post. I'll then count 3 across and place in another, 3 across again, and continue doing this until I'm 1 in from the edge like that. Then I'll rotate round and do the same thing across this way. 1, 2, 3, going all the way around the build. You'll notice at the front here that these 3 centermost posts sit right on the edge where we have the gap coming in one with the floor. So we've got our post like this. I'm then going to add another 5 blocks on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so our posts are 6 high. And then on the corner ones, I'm going to have some logs facing outwards like this. Now, like we had the red marking in the windows on the lower story, we're going to do the same thing up here. Now, instead of the walls being flush with these posts, they're going to be set one back. So we're going to have to put in our windows one back from the posts. First, I have 2 3-high windows on the front wall like this. And then in the 2 innermost panels, I have 2 3x3 square windows. And you can really see with these windows that they are set one back from the posts. The back has the same style of windows, so I'll add those in now. And then for the sides, I just have 2 3-high windows, and you'll see that these end up being connected diagonally to the windows on the front wall. There we go. I'll then take my white wool and I'm going to fill in the walls around here. So of course I have to go around each window. You'll then notice as I come round to the next wall that we've got part of it already filled in. And once I've got it all filled in from the exterior of the build, I'm going to come inside and make sure I fill in these gaps behind the posts. I'm also going to add 1 wool on top of all of this to bring it up to the same height of the posts. So our wall should look like this. Next, I'm going to take some cherry planks and I'm going to fill in the floor and roof, and I better place some torches down before I do this. So I'm a 1 block in from the wall edge. Just like that, and we're ready to add on the 3rd story. For the framing for the 3rd and final story of this build, I'm going to again count 3 blocks across, going all the way around the outline here. Like this. You should have 2 rows of 4 here. I'll then add 5 on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a total of 6 high for each post. Then 1 block down from the top of each post, and I've got to trim off some of those where I miscounted, I'm just going to connect them up. So we should be left with a 4 high panel, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 1 high panel above that. Then on the outermost posts, I'm going to have them have posts coming out from each of the corners. Now for this story, we're not going to fill in any of the wall panels with wool, but I will be filling in the sections above where we have just 1 high of wool. So let's take a step back. We have all the framing in and 3 tiers for our Japanese temple. Now we're going to begin working on the roof. We've got quite a lot of roofing to do on this build, and Japanese roofs have a very unique style. So we're going to be working section by section, starting on the back here where we have a small gable. We're going to be using a mixture of nether brick blocks, stairs and slabs, as well as walls which we'll be using for detail. And then for the main part of the roof, we've got mangrove planks, stairs and slabs. So make sure you have all of those on hand. So I'm going to come up to this first roof here and locate where we have our window. I'm going to be placing in a row of 4 slabs coming out from 1 high up on this post. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this. Then we've got some mangrove stairs, again coming 4 out. And I'm going to stop before I hit this edge. This is where we're going to connect up to our first layer of slabs here. Then we've got a layer of blocks coming out from here and 2 stairs to connect up. For the next layer down, I'm going to place in 2 slabs coming out from this set of stairs, and then finally we'll finish with another layer of slabs to connect it all up like this. And I'll go ahead and do this on the other side as well. It really helps to have a temporary placeholder block when creating these roofs. So you should have a basic gable shape. I'm then going to come below this gable and place in some stairs right up against the wool wall. I'll then place a slab in the gap here. Underneath that, I'm going to place in 2 of my nether brick slabs coming outwards, and you can see the design it's creating here. We're going to be creating the swooping nether brick edge next. Let's start by adding in a stair facing upright like that. Then we've got stairs coming down 2 on either side. And underneath, I'm going to place in a stair here and here. I'll go in with some slabs next underneath the other stairs, followed by a block placed onto this slab, like that, and then a slab to finish it off. So you can see the curved shape we've created. To finish off this roof, we want to give it the classic swoopy point. So for this, I'll add in an upside down stair with a nether brick wall on top. We're going to create this same design now on the front of the build. So I'm going to find this center post, and like we did at the back, on the block above the bottom, I'll build out with 4 of my nether brick slabs. I'm going to need a temporary block here to place in my next row of mangrove stairs. And then we've got our slabs coming out from either side. The next layer is some blocks with 2 stairs coming out. And then we've got some slabs. Like this. I'm going to come underneath here now, and then at the layer where we have the cherry planks, I'm just going to add in a row of my mangrove slabs. This just finishes off the look of the roof from underneath this area. We now have to deal with the underside of this gable. I'm going to grab some stripped spruce logs and just place 3 connecting along here. Then I'll add in my mangrove stairs underneath like this, and then a slab in between. I'm then going to place in 2 of my nether brick slabs coming out like that, with a stair on top. Now for the edging, we're coming down on either side with the 2 stairs, and I'll place a stair underneath here and here. Then we've got some slabs, and a block on either side, and finishing it off with one more slab to either side. And like on the back, we're going to create a little swoop with a stair and a wall. So here's how it should look. Next, we'll start working on each of the corners of the build, and each of them is the same. So I'm going to start by placing in a row of slabs coming out from this log. I'll just come across 3 or 4 blocks here. I'll then place a slab on top, and I'm going to do this off to either side. For the next layer, I'm going to be placing a block diagonally back from this slab. So that is going to leave me here. You can see I'm leaving out a gap here. And once again, I'll come along with some slabs. Alright, for the next layer, we're going to be using planks and just connecting all the way around, and I'll place a slab again diagonally up from these slabs like this. And then finally, I'm going to continue my slabs leaving out the very corner. Now to fill in these corners, we're going to be using some of the nether brick. So for this one, I'm going to be placing in a block, then we've got a slab, and then a block to top it off, so you can see it's sitting 1 block up all the way across. I'll go ahead and create the same basic corner on all of my other sides. All 4 corners have the start of the roof in now. So next we just need to add the swoopy corner points. I'm going to start by placing in a nether brick in this gap here. I'll then grab some nether brick slabs, and I'm placing them on the top layer, too thick like this, and then I'll place in a block on the very corner. And I can do that off to either side. Now we're going to come down in our swoop. So our first one we're going to place in a block. Then I'll place in 2 slabs like this. Then I'm going to place in an upside down stair on this edge, and then a right way up stair, and then I'll continue along with a slab. We've got a lovely point now, and I'll go ahead and do this on this side too. So we've got our layer of 2 slabs, then a block, 2 slabs again, upside down stair, right way up stair, slab. And to finish it off, we have a wall in the very corner. I'm going to create the same swoop on all 4 corners. Now that we've got all of the corners in and we've got our gables in, we can just connect up all of the slabs like this. Of course, where we've got our row of blocks, I'll be using blocks, but I'll just continue along the pattern to fill in the whole rest of this roof. So if we step back, this is how the front should look. Then round to the side, we're doing exactly the same thing, just filling in the gap. Let's take a step back and have a look at the roof. And let's move on to the second story roof. Once again, we're going to start by working on the corners and then fill in the gap between. So I'm going to start with my mangrove here, building 3 slabs across from these logs. I'll also place one in the gap in between. I'll place the slab on top of each log, and then we're going to start coming back. I'll place in a temporary block here to place in my slabs. Like that, and then we've got our mangrove planks just coming around to join the corner. We'll begin by placing in some nether brick blocks here and here. Then we've got some of these mangrove slabs coming out from this block. Then we're going to use a temporary block, which I'm going to place above here so I can place in a slab. Like this, so you can see that they're all sitting flush across from each other. I'll then place in some mangrove blocks coming off of each of these slabs, then some slabs going up like this, and then a block in the center. So we've got our corner. Now we'll bring along our blocks this way, starting with some slabs, which I'm going to place level with here and then one below. Then we've got an upside down stair and a right way up stair and then a slab. So we've got our swoop going this way, now over to this side. 2 slabs, stair, stair, and a slab. And then to finish it off, we've got a wall on the top. Let's create this same design on the other corners now. All of the corners are finished, so now we can go ahead and fill in the gaps. And we're just following along the shape created by the slabs and the blocks for the rest of the roof. And let's take a step back and have a look at the roof so far. Switching things up a bit now, we're going to work on some decorations on this lower story. I'm going to start by crafting some banners. For this, I'm going to begin with a white banner and some pink dye. I'm going to place 2 of these crosses on the banner and then a brown cross over the top. By doing this, just a hint of pink shows through underneath the brown, and we'll be using those to decorate our walls. The first decor I'm going to add is to these posts. I'm adding some stairs like this, followed by some spruce trapdoors, and then some mangrove buttons, and I'll create the same design on the other corners. Like this. Next, I'll take some stripped cherry logs and I'm going to be placing them above the join here like this all the way around the build. So you can see they're at the same level as the spruce logs there. With those in place, I'm going to add in a few of these temporary blocks below like this. We're going to use this to place some hanging signs. Almost all the way around the build, and here we go. So I'm going to place my sign by clicking on the wool block or the temporary block like this so that it has the beam going across the top. Then if you're in creative, you can hold Control and then your middle mouse click to be able to select the blank sign to place them in. Otherwise, if you're in survival or on a bedrock account, you can just go ahead and place them like this, exiting out with each sign you place. So I'll go ahead and add these all the way around like this, making sure I connect them up so that they have that beam showing. You'll notice I'm making sure that when I click, I'm clicking on the little beam itself. With all of those in now, I can replace the temporary block with an upside down cherry wood stair. The reason I can't place these in and then click the signs on that is you won't be able to place the hanging signs on the stairs. I'll also place these stairs at the bottom of each post. If you're enjoying today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you consider liking and subscribing, and check out my Patreon to access a range of different benefits like world downloads and access to a multi-world Patreon server. And then with stairs in hand, I'm going to be placing them coming in from each side like this, upside down, so you can see just the bottom of them sticking through. Then in the center, I'll place in two like this with a block in the center. So we've got one side done like this. Let's go around to the other side now. There we go. Now onto the back side, I'm going to again come in from either side until I get to the middle panel. Where I'm just going to leave this center panel empty. And I'll do the same thing on the front of the build. Like that. Now I'm going to take some cherry fences and connect up these stairs in front of the posts. Next, I'll take some spruce signs, which I'm going to place above and below each of the windows, and once again in Creative I can use my little trick of clicking Control and then the center mouse button. While I'm at the back of the build here, I'm going to be placing in two signs on either side of the center of the gable. And now here's where our banners come in. I'm going to be placing 3 on either side of each window, and then 3 rows of 3 in the gaps where there aren't any windows. At the back here, I'll also hang 1 within the gable. You can see the fantastic detail this adds to the build. Next, let's add in our doorway. I'm going to come into the center and break all of these temporary blocks. I'm going to create a circular opening using some stairs and trapdoors, like this. I'm then going to come inside the build and place in 2 temporary blocks and surround this with some mangrove trapdoors. I'll then remove those blocks, and from the inside the build, I'll place in my cherry door, clicking on this stone brick here so it opens outwards. Like that. I'm also going to place in some spruce signs above the doorway. There we go. I've got some mangrove buttons next, which I'm going to add on the 2 posts that are visible underneath the gable, both at the front and the back of the build. Then I've got some more cherry hanging signs, which I'm going to hang on a diagonal here. So I'm holding Shift when I place these so that I get this upwards pointing chain. If I don't hold that, I'm going to get a sign that looks like this. Also make sure that you're standing on a nice angle when you place these signs, or your sign will end up on a funny angle. Next, I'm going to come inside the build and we're going to remove all of these window placeholders, and we'll be using trapdoors for the windows themselves. So for the 2 windows either side of the door, I'll be using cherry trapdoors. And then for the rest of the windows on this story, I'm going to be using the mangrove trapdoors. While I'm in here, you can see just how spacious this build is. This is just one floor worth of space, and you can fit so much in here. Let's move on to the second story of details now. I'm going to start with some cherry hanging signs, which I'm going to hang like this underneath each of the window panels, and you can see I've got it with the 2 chains. Once again, I can use my center click to collect the sign without text on it. I'm going all the way around the build, adding these in. Next, we're going to switch over to some spruce. We're creating little archways like this with some stairs and a trapdoor in the center. There we go, all of our trapdoors are in. We're going to add in some more stairs now on each of the corners. And then we've got trapdoors below that. We'll leave a 1 block gap and then add in some more trapdoors. On all of the other posts, we'll put our trapdoors level with the stairs and then 2 blocks below. Of course, where we've got our gable, I won't be able to add in that extra trapdoor. If you'd like to access a world download for this build, as well as some other awesome benefits like access to a multi-world server, make sure you check out my Patreon. I'd love to have your support, and you can join a community of other awesome Minecrafters. There we go, all the way around the build now. Let's add in some buttons. These are just going on these sides here like this. And then 1 block up above. And I'm also going to be placing stairs in the bottom of each little alcove to really round off the shape of this space. With all of those in place, I can switch to some cherry fences, which I'm going to have coming up 3 high in each gap, even in front of these windows here like this. For the next details, we're working along this roof edge. I'm going to grab my cherry fence gates, and I'll start by placing one underneath this first stair. Then I'm going to come across and I'm going to hold shift so when I place a hanging sign, it hangs like this, and I'll alternate between the two. I find it easier to place in all of my gates first, and I should finish with a gate below this stair, and then go in with all of my hanging signs. And once I've done one side, I'm going to do the same on all 3 sides to follow. Once again, starting below this stair and then skipping every other gap. And this time we want to make sure our hanging signs are hanging parallel with the gates. Onto the last side here. There we go. Let's move inside the build now and remove all of these window placeholder blocks. And for these windows, I'm going to be using cherry trapdoors. I'm I'm going to make sure that for at least one of these windows, I think I'll go with the one over on this side here. When I place in these trapdoors, I place one this way and then two coming down. That way I can easily get out onto the roof if I need to access it and get back in. And then when they flip, they look just the same. But for the rest, I'll go ahead and stack them on top of each other for ease. Now we can flip all of these trapdoors. And I can use my secret little doorway to creep back on outside and have a look at how it's coming together. I'm going to come up to the very top of the build now to add in the roof. I'm starting by placing a rectangle of mangrove planks all the way around this outside edge. We've got two smaller gables on this build, then two larger ones, and of course our swoopy points. So let's break it down and start on this smaller gable to begin with. I'm going to begin by placing in a couple of stairs here like this, and then I'm going to wrap these stairs around to join up. Just like that, we should have a 1 block gap in the center. I'm then going to place a wall here, and then two of my nether brick slabs coming out from here. I'm going to place a nether brick stair on top of that, with one coming out and a wall on top, and then I'll come back with some more of my slabs. We're going to build up the rest of this roof using stairs here, so I'll just place another layer of stairs with a nether brick stair in the center, and then I'll use a temporary block to add one more layer on top of that. There we go. Now we need to do the edging here. For this, I'm just going to place in a stair here. I'm going to place two temporary blocks to add in a couple mangrove slabs, and this is the block below the stair. Then I'm going to add in an upside down stair placed off of that. So it looks like this. And then a slab coming off of the bottom of that stair. Like that. I'm going to create the same design now on the back of the roof. There we go, we've got both of our small gables in. For the end gables, I'll start by placing in some mangrove stairs, and I'm zigzagging these up to create a point. I'll then finish with a mangrove plank in the center, like this. Next, I've got some mangrove slabs, and I'll build 5 across here, and then place a nether brick block on either side, like that. Next layer, I'm going to come across again with my slabs. This time I'm going to go across 7 blocks and then bring them one slab up so they sit in front of the block like this. And I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other side as well now. Now I can come around to the front and back of the build. I'm going to add in a few slabs to be able to connect this up. So we have a row of slabs here, and then we have a row of stairs above that. Stairs here, and then some slabs, once again building them 2 on top of each other at the very end. While I'm at it, I can also fill in these gaps with some more of the mangrove stairs. Let's add some swoops. To begin these swoops, I'm going to place a nether brick slab in this gap here. I'm then going to have stairs coming off of this facing in towards each other, and then a slab in the center with a wall on top. Now we need to have it swoop back down, so we're going to go in with 2 slabs on top of each other here, an upside down stair, a right way up stair, and then a slab to connect. Let's go ahead and do this on this side. So now we've got our 2 slabs coming in. Then we've got our upside down stair and our right way up stair, and then a slab. And this will bring us to the center, so when we create our next sweep, it'll all line up. So you can see by adding in that last stair, it's all connected up and we have a nice swoop. So here's how the roof is looking so far. Now of course we need to add a top to this roof, but also some edging to either side of these gables. I'm going to do this by placing in 2 sets of stairs with a slab in the center. Then over on the other side, the same thing. For the top of the roof, I'll use a temporary block to begin placing in some cherry logs, and I'll have these stick out one over the edge of the end of the roof. And over that side as well. Now for the swoops on top, I'll start by placing in a block. Then I'm going to come up with 2 slabs like this. And then I'm going to use some temporary blocks, which I'll build out this way, to be able to place in an upside down stair so it connects like that. From here, I'm going to add in 1 more stair, and then I'll make my way across to the center of the roof with slabs. Finally, to finish off the swoop, I just need to add a wall on top. Let's do this on the other side as well. I'm also going to take some spruce buttons and space them one apart along this cherry wood beam, on both the front and back side of the roof. I'll also be coming underneath the build here, and you'll find a small gap. I'll just go ahead and fill that across with some white wool. There we go, and then when we look from the outside, that gable is filled in. Now for the details on this top story, I'm going to start by placing a cherry slab between each of these logs. There we go. I'm then going to grab some cherry stairs and build them across until I reach the center, where I'll have a cherry plank. On the 2 short sides, this will just be 1 stair. Whereas on the longer sides, you should need to build across 5 stairs before you reach the center. Okay, I've got all of these cherry stairs in now. Next, we're going to use some spruce stairs, which I'll place at the top and the bottom of each of these posts. And I'll also be placing them in front of each of the other posts, just clicking the stair onto the stair above. Hello, Mr. Enderman, you're in the way of my building, I hate to say it. I'll come back to that stair in a minute. There we go, and then I'll add a trapdoor above and below each of these stairs. Excuse me, Mr. Andy, you're in the way again. Alright, now we're going to create some archways using some more of the spruce, so each gap is going to get 2 stairs with a trapdoor in between. And I like to try and keep all of my trapdoors facing the same direction, It just gives a more polished look to the build. I'll come inside the build now, and then I'll place in 4 cherry planks like this on either side. And then in the gaps, I'm going to place in some cherry trapdoors. I'm holding shift so I can click on the spruce trapdoor behind here, or you could place in a temporary block above like this to click your trapdoor on. Then for the gaps in the center front and the center back, I'll just place 3 trapdoors in. I'm going to be placing in some fences now, and this is going to come down from each of the cherry planks we've got here for the decor. Now we're going to be using some cherry gates, and I'll be placing 3 in between each gap, opening them up. To mirror the designs on the posts on the lower story, we've got some buttons next. And because this 3rd floor acts kind of like a balcony, I'm going to be using some cherry gates to create a bit of a railing. And of course you can walk through these, but you're going to have to open them first. And here's what we've got. I want to add some lanterns to this build, so I'm going to create some banners. For this, I'll first start with a red banner with a white field mason. Then I'm going to go in with a red indented border, followed by a black standard border, and then to finish it off, a red standard border. And you can see the lantern design it creates. I'll be using some deep sleep tile walls to look like larger chains, followed by a smaller chain, and I'll have each of these in the corners of the 2nd story. And I also want to hang lanterns from the top story, but I'll be hanging these 1 block in. I'm opting to use some pearlescent frog lights, but you could use any light block you like. And you can see with these 4 banners, they look like hanging lanterns. So I'll hang one of these from each of our chains. I'm also going to be using some regular lanterns on this build. You can see I'm hanging them 1 chain down from each of the corners of the bottom story, as well as from this center gable here. Let's do this on the back as well. Then I'm going to have them hanging from the gables on the front and back of the top story. And then finally from the larger gables as well, I'm going to hang these 2 chains down. And then as well as some hanging lanterns, I want some lanterns down here at the base. So for these, I'll start by placing in 4 nether brick stairs on the corner like this. Then I'll place in a nether brick in the center, followed by 2 of my light blocks, which I'll then surround the top one with some more of these stairs. I'm going to add a mangrove trapdoor on the very top, and then surround the lantern with some of our custom banners. And I'm going to do this on each of the corners of the build. The last detail before I show you how I decorated this build is to add in some slabs on top of each of the remainingly visible chiseled stone brick. This just finishes off the foundation and adds a little bit more intricacy to match the beautiful design of the build. And here we go, I finished the landscaping around my Japanese temple. Now for this build, since it is a Japanese temple, I've wanted to keep the landscaping fairly symmetrical for that balanced appearance, but I haven't made things exactly the same on either side to keep things interesting. So off to this side, I've created a little Zen garden where you can see I've used a mixture of sand, smooth sandstone stairs, and then some of this suspicious sand to make it look like you've been raking here. I've also built some custom rocks around, which just make this more of a focal point and add some height to the design. Then off to the other side, I've created a small seating area with this 4-way Torii Gate pagoda style gazebo, and you can see we've got a little bench underneath here. I've also got a central pathway leading from the very door of my build all the way out to the ocean, where I've got a little dock, and of course I've got a Torii Gate above all of that. As for planting, I've stuck to colours that you can find in the build itself. So I've got some white flowers lining the pathway on either side. Then I've got some pink and green foliage around the focal points of the build, and of course I've given the build a backdrop of cherry blossom trees and bamboo. Another feature you can see is that I created these floating lanterns using the same banners as the lanterns on the build. This helps bring the colour outwards from the build, this beautiful bright red, and it also ties the landscaping and design together with the rest of the build. Now let's head inside to take a look at my staircase. I haven't decorated the inside yet, but I've got lots of tutorials on Japanese style decor that you can use, and you've got such a lot of space to work with, so you can really decide whether you want to use this space as a decorative space or for in survival lots of storage. Whoops, I broke my staircase here, but if we have a look, I've created a small spiral staircase using just stairs and trapdoors, and you can see it functions perfectly well for getting up to the next story. To do this, I've just placed a stair, then rotated to place the next one, rotated to place the next one, and done that going all the way down. I then covered all of the other sides of my stairs with these trapdoors to create some railing and just to give it a more robust appearance. Up here on the second story, you can see I've used a ladder to reach the third and final story of the build. This is just a more compact way of creating a way to reach the next floor, so that way I still have all of this floor space for decorating. If you'd like to see some more tutorials about decorating the interior and exterior of Japanese style builds like this one, make sure you leave a comment. So now you've got a grand Japanese cherry temple or castle for your world. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot. And if you'd like to support me further, check out my Patreon. I'll see you in another video.